We've got breaking chaos out of Cleveland as Browns owner Jimmy Haslam just forced head coach Kevin Stefanski to publicly admit that Shedeur Sanders is now the team's official QB2, with sources saying Haslam cornered Stefanski after practice, demanding honesty after weeks of internal tension. This is the moment fans have been waiting for, and the coaching staff is absolutely fuming.
Man, Kevin Stefanski looked like a sick puppy today, dog. He went in that press conference and he had to answer all the questions. Now, I told you guys early this morning that reports is starting to come out of Cleveland that Andrew Berry, Jimmy Haslam, and Kevin Stefanski, all three of these guys is not on the same frequency, I would just say that, allegedly with the management of the quarterback position. We just seen Joe Flacco get traded last week. We've seen Dylan Gabriel go out there and pretty much bomb at the end of the fourth quarter. Now, Kevin Stefanski earlier this week had refused to give us an update on Shedeur Sanders. Well, I'm here to tell you, many people in the media was talking about him, pretty much saying, dude, why is it taking you so long just to name Shedeur?
Before we dive deeper, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a second of this unfolding QB drama breaking news just dropped from Cleveland. And let me tell you, Kevin Stefanski looked like a man at gunpoint during that press conference. The Browns head coach was forced to admit that Shedeur Sanders is officially QB2, but here's the thing nobody's talking about. Reports are swirling that owner Jimmy Haslam, GM Andrew Berry, and Stefanski are not on the same page about the quarterback situation. Joe Flacco gets shipped out in the middle of the night, Dylan Gabriel bombs in the fourth quarter, and suddenly Stefanski's dodging questions about Shedeur all week until today. So why did it take this long? What's really going on behind closed doors in Cleveland? And more importantly, is Shedeur about to expose something the Browns don't want you to see?
Yeah, like I told you guys on Wednesday, I'm always thinking about our players and what's best for our players. And I want to make sure when it comes to young football players, particularly at the quarterback position, that you are intentional about your decision making. And that's really all it is. So excited for all of our guys.
And having never been in the number 2 role. So what's the key to that this week and even Sunday?
I think the big thing there is all of us play our role throughout the weekend on Sunday. And obviously that backup quarterback role is a little bit different.
All right, so let's break this down from the top because this situation in Cleveland is messier than your ex's Instagram comments section. Kevin Stefanski walked into that press conference today looking like he just got called into the principal's office. And trust me, you could feel the tension through the screen.
To get up to speed. And like I've told you guys with rookies, there's a learning curve. There's things that you're going to pick up over the course of time. I think all of our guys have done a nice job of really incrementally getting better, certainly with the process of an NFL season, the process of a week, what those type of things look like.
You want to make sure before you made this decision on that quarterback that it was best for the players' development and for the team. How did you make sure that this is the best thing for Shedeur as well?
Yeah, again, just to probably repeat myself, just in any decision with the football team, just want to make sure I take my time and make sure I'm doing what's right for all the players. And that's this decision. That's really every decision I make.
I wanted some clarity on the Joe Flacco trade. You said you were shocked initially. Were you more shocked because...
This man had to stand up there and finally admit what everybody already knew. Shedeur Sanders is the backup quarterback for Sunday's game against the Vikings. But here's where it gets spicy. Why did it take this long? We're talking about a simple depth chart announcement, right? Wrong.
But he has the ability to make everything. Yeah, Mike's doing a really nice job. I think he's had some really good moments in these practices, and he's, as we've talked about, really attacking this rehab, and certainly seems to be, to me, just watching him, getting better every single day.
And this week, just how did you kind of come through the week and maybe build on some of the things that you saw during the game?
Yeah, I think it's with young football players, a lot of things that they're seeing in game will be firsts. First certainly in the NFL, but This is really the first road game, first time in Pittsburgh. Obviously, the challenges that come with playing on the road, and so I thought he's attacked this game plan really well. Understands what we're trying to do. He works extremely hard at the mental side of this and making sure he's prepared. And I thought he had a good week.
After in the game, do you feel confident that he can run most of the concepts and plays that Dylan does, or do you have to kind of change it?
Yeah, I think with any quarterback that is in the...
Because nothing in Cleveland is simple anymore, and when you've got an owner like Jimmy Haslam breathing down your neck, a GM like Andrew Berry pulling strings behind the scenes, and a head coach trying to maintain control of his locker room, you've got yourself a full-blown power struggle. Let's rewind to Wednesday. Stefanski straight up refused to give us an update on Shedeur's status, dodging questions like Neo in the Matrix while media members called him out left and right, asking the most basic question in football: who's your backup quarterback? And this man couldn't or wouldn't give a straight answer. Now, why is that? What's so complicated about naming your QB2? I'll tell you why. Because decisions in Cleveland aren't being made by Kevin Stefanski anymore. They're being made in boardrooms by suits who've never called a play in their lives. Jimmy Haslam wants one thing, Andrew Berry wants another, and Stefanski's caught in the middle trying to coach a football team while management plays Game of Thrones behind his back. Then came the bombshell nobody saw coming, Wednesday night, late Wednesday night. The Browns traded Joe Flacco. Let that sink in for a second. Your veteran backup, the guy who literally saved your season last year, gets shipped out in the middle of the week, and even Stefanski himself said he was surprised by the move. When your own head coach is surprised by roster decisions, you know there's dysfunction at the highest levels. The media asked him straight up, "Were you shocked by the Flacco trade?" And Stefanski had to catch himself. He almost said shocked, then walked it back to surprised. But we all heard it, we all felt it. This man had no idea Flacco was getting moved until it happened. He told reporters he didn't even get to talk to some of the players until the next morning because the trade went down so late at night. Think about that. Your starting quarterback Dylan Gabriel goes out there against Pittsburgh, struggles in the fourth quarter, and suddenly your safety net, your insurance policy, gets traded away before you can even process what happened. Now you're forced to elevate a rookie you've been protecting all season long. But here's what makes this whole situation even more interesting. Stefanski spent all week talking about being intentional with his decisions regarding young quarterbacks, saying he wanted to make sure he was doing what's best for player development. Noble words, right? But what he's really saying is, I'm not ready to throw this kid to the wolves yet. And honestly, I don't blame him. Shedeur Sanders is special, we all know that. But the NFL is a different beast, and bringing a rookie quarterback along the right way matters. Stefanski knows this. He's seen what happens when you rush young quarterbacks into situations they're not ready for. And he's been in this league long enough to know that one bad experience can derail a career. But here's the problem. Stefanski doesn't have the luxury of time anymore. Not with management breathing down his neck, not with fans calling for change, not with Dylan Gabriel looking shaky and the season slipping away. So today, he had to stand up there and give the people what they wanted to hear. Shedeur will be the backup. 5 words that should have been said on Wednesday. 5 words that took 3 extra days and a media firestorm to finally come out of his mouth. And even when he said it, you could see it in his body language. This wasn't fully his decision. Now, let's talk about what we actually saw in that press conference, because Stefanski's answers tell us everything we need to know about the internal chaos. A reporter asked him what the key is for Shedeur in his first time as QB2, and Stefanski went into coach speak overdrive. All of us play our role. That backup quarterback role is a little bit different. You have to be ready in a moment's notice. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Translation: I'm terrified Dylan goes down and I have to put this rookie in there on the road against Minnesota. And I'm not saying that to be harsh. I'm saying it because it's real. Stefanski's job is on the line. This season's been a disaster. the Browns are barely staying afloat. And now he's got to prepare a rookie quarterback who's been working his tail off in practice, but hasn't taken a single NFL snap. Another reporter asked him directly, "How did you make sure this is the best thing for Shedeur's development?" And Stefanski just kept repeating himself, "I take my time with decisions. I want to make sure I'm doing what's right for all the players. That's really every decision I make." But you know what he never said? He never said this was his decision. He never said, "I decided Shedeur is ready." He said, "I want to make sure, and I take my time." But there was no ownership of the actual choice, and that's because this decision came from above. Jimmy Haslam saw the media firestorm brewing, saw fans questioning why Shedeur wasn't active, saw the optics of trading Flacco and still not elevating the first-round pick. So he made the call, and Stefanski had to fall in line. Now here's where things get real interesting for Shedeur Sanders specifically, because this kid has been grinding since day one. Stefanski himself admitted that all the young players in the building work incredibly hard, utilizing every resource available to get better. He said, "Shedeur has been coming up the learning curve from both a mental and physical standpoint, attacking the game plan, working extremely hard at the mental side of things." That's high praise from a coach who doesn't hand it out freely, but here's what Stefanski didn't say. He didn't say Shedeur is ready to run the full offense. When asked if Shedeur could execute most of the concepts Dylan runs, Stefanski gave the most political answer of the day. "With any quarterback that's in there, you're always playing to their strengths, but our focus is making sure we're running our offense." Read between the lines. That means if Shedeur has to go in, they'll simplify things, lean on the run game, call plays that protect him rather than showcase him. Because Stefanski doesn't trust the situation yet, not because he doubts Shedeur's talent, but because he knows what happens when rookie quarterbacks get thrown into chaos without proper preparation. And let's be honest about what Shedeur's walking into if Dylan goes down. The Browns' offensive line has been inconsistent all season. The weapons are banged up, the play calling's been questioned, and now you're going on the road to face a hungry Minnesota defense that can make veteran quarterbacks look silly. That's a lot to put on a rookie's shoulders, even one as talented as Shedeur Sanders. But here's what nobody's talking about. What if this is exactly what Shedeur needs? What if sitting behind Dylan Gabriel, watching mistakes, learning the speed of the NFL game without the pressure of starting, is actually setting him up for success? Because let me tell you something about Shedeur Sanders that separates him from other rookies. This kid has been in high-pressure situations his entire life. He's played in packed stadiums with his Hall of Fame father on the sideline, dealt with media scrutiny since high school, led Colorado through one of the most watched college football seasons in recent memory. The lights don't scare him. What he needed was time to learn an NFL playbook, understand NFL defenses, and build chemistry with receivers without the weight of being the guy. And whether Stefanski wanted to give him that time or not, circumstances have forced patience on everyone. So now we're at this crossroads. Shedeur Sanders is officially QB2, one Dylan Gabriel injury away from taking over the Cleveland Browns offense. And everyone in that organization, from Jimmy Haslam to Andrew Berry to Kevin Stefanski, is holding their breath, hoping it doesn't come to that. But what if it does? What if Sunday against Minnesota something happens? What if Dylan takes a bad hit or throws another fourth-quarter pick that costs them the game and Haslam decides he's seen enough? Because here's the plot twist that's going to make some of you mad, but I'm going to say it anyway. Shedeur Sanders might actually be better than Dylan Gabriel right now, and the Browns organization knows it. They just can't admit it publicly because of how it would look. Think about it. You draft a quarterback in the first round with all the hype in the world, Deion Sanders kid, Colorado's golden boy, a guy who threw for over 3,000 yards in college with natural instincts that can't be taught. And you're telling me he can't beat out Dylan Gabriel after watching Dylan struggle in the fourth quarter? Come on now, let's keep it real. The reason Stefanski took so long to name Shedeur as QB2 wasn't because Shedeur wasn't ready. It's because once you elevate him to QB2, the pressure to make him QB1 becomes overwhelming. Fans start calling for it, media starts asking about it daily, and suddenly your veteran starter's looking over his shoulder wondering when he's going to get benched. That's the real reason for the delay. That's the real tension in that press conference. Stefanski knows what's coming. He knows that the moment Shedeur touches the field, whether in garbage time or because Dylan gets hurt, people are going to fall in love with what they see, because Shedeur has that it factor that can't be manufactured. And to be clear, this isn't a knock on Dylan Gabriel. He's been a solid pro, done what's asked of him. But there are levels to this game, and Shedeur Sanders is on a different frequency. The arm talent's there, the football IQ's there, the leadership's there. All he needed was time to process the NFL game, and he's been doing that every single day in practice. Stefanski said it himself. Shedeur's been attacking the game plan all week, understanding schematics, working relentlessly on the mental side, and that's not just coach speak, that's real respect. So why is everyone acting like Shedeur being QB2 is risky? Why this narrative that he's not ready when everything we're hearing says otherwise? I'll tell you why. Because the Browns can't afford to admit they may have rushed the Dylan Gabriel experiment. They can't afford to look like they wasted another year of development time. They can't afford another quarterback controversy in a city already drowning in them. But the truth staring everyone in the face. Shedeur Sanders is the future of this franchise, and everyone in Cleveland knows it. The question isn't if he's going to start, it's when. Now let's talk about what Sunday actually means for Shedeur. He's suiting up as QB2 against a Minnesota Vikings team that, according to Stefanski, requires everyone's best when their best is required. That's a dangerous game to be the backup in because anything can happen. One bad hit, one poor decision, one fourth quarter collapse, and suddenly Shedeur's being told to strap on his helmet and save the day. That's immense pressure for anyone, let alone a rookie. But here's why I'm not worried. He's been preparing for this moment his whole life. He grew up with a Hall of Fame father who taught him what it takes to succeed at the highest level. He's had elite coaching, elite training, elite mentorship, and beyond that, he's got the confidence and swagger to step into any situation and believe he belongs. Stefanski talked about how backups have to stay ready so they don't have to get ready, and that's facts. But Shedeur has been ready. He's been studying film, repping plays, building chemistry, doing everything a pro should do. And when his number's called, not if, but when, I genuinely believe he'll shock a lot of doubters. But let's be real. The story here isn't just Shedeur being QB2. It's the power struggle behind the scenes in Cleveland. It's a head coach losing control of roster decisions, an owner desperate for wins overriding his staff, a GM caught in the middle trying to balance long-term plans with short-term survival. Trading Joe Flacco in the middle of the night said it all. That wasn't a football move. That was a boardroom move. Now Stefanski's stuck preparing a rookie while keeping Dylan confident, juggling media chaos, and dealing with a front office that doesn't trust his timeline. It's an impossible spot, yet people blame Stefanski for hesitating. He's in a no-win situation and still trying to protect his players. Here's what happens next. Dylan starts Sunday, maybe plays okay. Good enough if the defense shows up. But the second things go wrong, the calls for Shedeur will be deafening. Cleveland's tired of mediocrity. They want something exciting, something hopeful, and Shedeur Sanders represents both. So whether it's Week 10, Week 12, or next season, his time's coming. And when it does, we'll look back at this press conference as the moment everything changed in Cleveland. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just another quarterback or first-round pick, he's a franchise-altering talent trapped behind politics. But that's shifting. The door's opening, and when he finally walks through it, the whole NFL's going to take notice. So that's where we're at. Kevin Stefanski got forced into a corner and had to admit what everyone already knew. Shedeur Sanders is QB2 for the Cleveland Browns. The politics are messy, the timing awkward, but the talent undeniable. Now here's what I want to know from you. Do you think Shedeur should already be starting? Is Stefanski protecting him or holding him back? And when he finally gets his shot, will he ball out or crumble under pressure? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you made it this far, you're part of the real ones. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications because we're covering every twist of this Shedeur Sanders saga. This story's just getting started, and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Peace. So don't skip a single second of this video, and if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin.